Hi guys, my name is Ryan Ellis. I came here to discuss about abuse. Um, there seems to be a lot of misinterpretation of abuse. Well, let me give you a history of my background. My background, when I was a child or a baby, I was almost taken away by the state of Oklahoma, but luckily my grandparents, who I'm not going to speak of, neither in my aunt and uncle who also raised me. Um, I was abused. I was abused mentally, emotionally, physically, psychology, uh, um, what do we call it? Anyways, and spiritually throughout my lifetime. I was raped. I was thrown across the room for screaming, and I was only a baby and I was screaming, and the person who I'm not going to mention threw me across the room because I wouldn't shut up. Now, my sister, who I'm also going to speak about, is a year and a half older than me. Instead of my real mom and her boyfriend at the time, instead of they raising me, my sister, at probably me, let's say 2, 3, 4, or 5, let's say 5, just give it max 5. She, at 6.5 years old, had to raise me, and she's only 6.5 or closer to 7 at the time. You know what my unknown person who I'm not going to speak about was? She was doing drugs, she was meth, she was into prostitution. Um, I remember one day, I was so young, I remember the the Department of the, Child Services came to the door. I didn't know who it was. I answered. They asked if this person was home, and I said no, she is not. And so they gave me a card, and they said, okay, they're going to leave. Now, I remember giving this card to this person, and I just don't remember what happened. But I remember my sister and I, again, my sister's only a year and a half older than me, and she's about 6.5, between 6 to 7, and she's only a year and a half older, so that would have put me, let's say about 4.5, 5. So let's say 4.5 to 5.5. I was only that old. I remember times where um, she and I would like just play with like toys in the closet. Yeah, we kind of made a little slide on the toys, and now we like kind of slid on the toys. Mm, We were young at the time. And anyways, we got in trouble for that, and we got spanked. We got our pants, both her pants and my pants down, spanked. For what reason? Because we were playing around. Yeah, there were toys, but we were kids. We were young. Um, my real father was really never in the picture at the beginning. Um, my sister and I have last names because of that main reason. You see, my father, real father was there for my sister's birth, and he was never there for mine. So I get my real mom's last name. And then I have an older sister name who I am going to mention, but not her last name. Her name is Nicole. I've never met her. I know she lives there in Oklahoma, and I believe in Norman, Oklahoma. That was in Stillwater. I did a background research on her about a year and a half ago, and I just, kind of forgot about it, but, that's my problem. Anyways, so, I have a hearing disability. I was born in my right, I was born with loss in my right ear, pretty much completely deaf. I had a speech impediment. You could probably hear that a little bit through, this chat here. Um, I was really into, I was not that in big of trouble, but I got in trouble at school and I got in trouble at home. I was misbehaving, things like that, and it got out of hand. And I had to wear hearing aids at school at times. Before I even had a hearing aid, I had an FM radio my teacher had to wear and I had to wear so we can communicate back and forth. And it was just really embarrassing. And that's why we kind of got um, a hearing aid for me so that way it won't be such embarrassment. I remember one day in Colorado when I used to live there. I think Colorado, that or Missouri. I lived in 4 states. Anyways, there was this kid. I think I was showing him my hearing aid. It was right at the end of school. We were about to get on buses, and the kid broke my hearing aid. Well, I remember. I think I punched him in the face because of that, and that like suspended. I think ISS or in school suspension for that. My life has been a wreck. I was originally, one point, I don't remember if we were coming from Colorado or Missouri, but I know we were going to Edmond, Oklahoma. There was one time, well, my uncle, who I'm not going to say who, but he bought an old Ford blue truck from some random person. I don't know. That's what I call it, random. But anyways, he and I drove all the way from Missouri or Colorado to Edmond, Oklahoma, and not that long after I had an accident. What happened was my uncle and his dad, or my grandpa from my uncle's side, I call him my dad, they were looking under like the hood was open and they were looking under. Anyway, so I was standing about 5 feet behind to the right, wearing a white shirt. I mean, just like wearing tank top like shirt thingies, and it was just white. And I had a handheld Yahtzee game. I was a kid. I don't know. I was what 7 or 8 when all of a sudden the radiator exploded. I just happened to be right in line of fire when that water just right on my chest. Instantly melted through my shirt, burned my skin. Overall, I had a chemical burn and I had like a regular burn. So I had 2 different types of burns on my chest. I remember going to the hospital. I was sitting in the back right, and we were going to the emergency room. I remember telling them that how when you wring a rag out of water and you can get it real tight. Just imagine my chest feeling that way. It was just really tight. Oh man, I don't remember. I think they knocked me out and I had to get scrubbed. Well, after that, we decided to go to, I believe it's either not Hobart, no, Tulsa or Wausau. Either way, I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But we were there. I had bandages, stuff like that. I already had a 2nd-degree burn. So, well, my real mom and her boyfriend come and overall kidnap me. By law because she did not have any kind of guardianship over me. And therefore, she took me away from them, broke my aunt's nose, like her boyfriend, broke my aunt's nose and just bled. Anyways, during that process of taking, plus when I got to my real mom's house, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't want to get hurt, so I had to follow your rules. I was like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 or 9. Not that old. Anyways, so we got there. I don't remember exactly what I said or communication, but I remember my real mom taking the bandages off me, or what was left of the bandages, to a little commotion that what happened there. And somehow that old/new skin that was underneath the original covering ripped off, causing a 3rd-degree burn. Now, I remember going to the store and we came back, and then I remember sometime afterwards, please, in an emergency, um, I forget what it's called, a shoot, one of those emergency, like ambulance. There we go, ambulances. One of the ambulances came, and I got to ride in one of those back to the hospital. It was awesome. Now I remember I got to choose one person to ride with me, and I don't know who it was. Um, that was so long ago. Now, um, we got to the hospital. I get re-scrubbed, re-bandaged, and I remember having blisters all over my chest. It just hurt. It just hurt. And because of that, even now I'm still affected, and I get sensitive outside, like the heat. I get a lot hotter, a lot quicker than normal people because of my chest. Heat beaming down on my chest. I don't have much of a protection like than what most people have on their chest because of that burn. Yes, I only have a scar about that big right here on my chest, but it's still sensitive, and that's what really counts. Um, yes, I don't remember it, but people do, and they said that I was, raped, and I don't remember that, but they were there from I was born, so if they say it and I trust these people, I believe that. Just like if you were to believe that uh, your mother or father or someone died and they died this way, and that person raised you all your life and that told you what happened, so you believe that. You know, um, my real father was never really in the picture. I've met him, and he's lived with like in the same room and I have before for a couple of years, back in Colorado and stuff. But I remember times to where, he was drunk, he was smoking, he was drinking, and it wasn't that good. I hardly drink. I never smoked. I don't do drugs because when I was born 6 weeks premature. Uh, it was I was considered a drug baby. I have about this thick of paperwork. It took me a long time to get. I was about 18 months old. I had a problem with my spinal cord. Uh, I had like some not hepatitis C, but some type of hepatitis from being a sick boy. I remember, and I couldn't walk normal. I had all these problems. I mean, many problems. I had asthma when I was young, but I grew out of that, thank God. But um, that's just the gist of my stories. Now, I can go on about my older half brother. I can go on about my real mom. Keep going on about my real father. Let's move on. So I moved to instead of the state of Oklahoma taking me away, I was pretty much my sister and I were taken away from my real mom and her boyfriend to my grandparents, who I'm not going to say, from my mom's side. Um, they raised us for about 2 years, but within those 2 years, we kind of switched back and forth from our real parent, from our real mom to them, to real mom, back and forth. You know how that is. It's just nah. So um, I feel sorry for those who lost parents. I didn't really go through death like that. I mean, yes, there was a recent death in my personal family, but it was my nephew's mom, Nicole. That was her name. Not the same Nicole that is my older half sister, but a different Nicole. And I don't know much about her, um, but my nephew's mother, do know that she did drugs, she drank, she did the harsh drugs, marijuana, coke or cocaine, meth, things like that. She drank, she smoked. I know the generals, and I wonder Did it ever occur to people, or whoever's watching this, did it ever occur to you what you might be doing to your children or might be doing to yourself or those around you? Let me ask you this. Okay, so let's say a female, she's pregnant. She got a 5 months old boy, right? She's doing meth, smoking it up, living it high. I don't know what that feels like, and I don't want to know. But okay, so did it ever occur to her that she's affecting her baby? She may have thought so. She was like, man, I shouldn't be doing this because, I'm pregnant. Um, it's not the baby's fault. It's not the son's fault for, the disabilities they have, or he has, or I have, or anybody else has. For that particular reason, it was her mother's fault. Okay? I had a friend that died about 5 months ago. I'm not going to say who it was, but he overdosed on drugs. I knew him here in Montana for a few months. He helped me out. Uh, it was awesome. He was a great guy, but he did drugs and stuff. And I tried to help him with that. I tried to help the situation, even though I was in a bad situation. They kind of took me in as a friend. I still tried to help a friend, tried to help him. Now, that was right when I left them because I was accepted in a job corps, kicking horse job corps here in Ronan, Montana. And then, I don't know, 2 or 3 months later, I hear that the people I was with, they broke up. Her and her kids are down in California and he's in Washington, even though he got this girl pregnant. So, well, finally, she had his son, and what to do, he died, so he left her with a child that he's not there for. What irritates me the most is when people blame their kids or act on and treat their kids with disrespect and like they shouldn't, have a chance in life. We all have problems. You could probably tell, my eyes alignment don't work right. My speech, I have hearing loss. I was born with it, and I'll be deaf the rest of my life in it because my middle ear is undeveloped. Um, I'm in college though. God, man, he helped me on this one. I'm doing it for multiple reasons. I have the opportunity to in 4 years to work with either the CIA, the NSA, NASA, or FBI. 4 years, just 4 years. It don't take much to apply. You can go on their websites, FBI.gov, CIA.gov, NASA.gov, NSA.gov. There's internships there on their website or co-ops where you can spend an entire summer or 6 months with them and learn and get, you know, what do you call it? Not certificates, but experience. So, experience is good too. But to apply, they do a polygraph. And yes, I was arrested once. It was a stupid mistake. It happened in February 2011 here in Montana. I'm going to get to that point. And yes, it's about almost 20 minutes I've already taken up on just my past. Now, skipping. After the 2 years with my grandma couldn't take care of my sister and I anymore because my grandpa, he was in the Vietnam War, he's in the military, and he was a Marine, and he had health problems, got shot, he had a Purple Heart and things like that, got injured. So he has health problems. Plus, they're getting old, older in age, so it's going to be harder for them to raise two young children, So my aunt and uncle, who I'm not going to mention, they took my sister and I, and I'm grateful because where would I be today? Where would I be? Yes, I've had some very, very, very rough times with them. But then again, I wasn't young. I was naive on things, and you know, just anyways. Eventually, we moved from state to state to state, trying to get away from my real mom and other situations within the entire family. But my aunt and uncle couldn't take care of me. I got I can't speak. Sorry. I hit the age of 12, right? Yeah, just 12. My birthday's in February. March 2008, I went to Pinehaven Christian Children's Ranch. I lived in Pagosa Springs, Colorado at the time. Andy Larson, I remember that. I talked to Bob on the phone, and about a week later, Andy Larson, well, my family drove me to Denver, Colorado, and Andy met my family there. Andy took me, and we left from Durango, Colorado, or Denver. I thought it was Durango, but it could be Denver. I don't know. Anyways, he took me. We got to Missoula, Montana. We drove from Missoula to Montana to Pinehaven. I remember meeting my house parents, Gary and Susan Henderson, in the Cream House. I remember it was April the 4th month, the 4th day, 2008, Friday. The first movie that I saw, because on Fridays, if you're ungrounded, you have family night where you get to have popcorn pop and watch a movie before bed. Um, the movie was Guardian. I'm just 12. I thought it was 13. Oh, I could be wrong. Whatever it was. 12 or 13. No, it was 13. I believe it was 13. So after my 13th birthday, I went up to Pinehaven. But I remember watching Guardian, the movie. Pretty good movie, You know, I thought I wanted to join the military, Coast Guard, especially because I love cold water. You know, I lived in Colorado for 3.5 months. When I post this on Facebook, if you look at my profile picture, it has me laying in snow. I was in Colorado, I believe 2008, 2 or 3 months before I went to Pinehaven. I love the snow. I love the cold water because the cold water, that comes from snow water, cold mountains. That's why I'm back here in Montana. I'm about 37, almost 40 miles from Pinehaven right now. I've been working with legislators in Montana to help propose a bill that because Pinehaven has been getting these abuse allegations on them. So I've been helping Montana legislators in my free time. I work, I go to school here in college, and working with legislators. Plus, computer work. I work with computers. I fix people's computers and things like that. One of the things that I enjoy most about working with computers is I've been doing it all my life. Yeah. Back when I was at Pinehaven, I used to talk a lot about Colorado, and especially Iron Man. Oh my goodness. I would not stop talking about Iron Man. It was pathetic. I mean, when I look at it now, it's pathetic. It's possible. The military already has suits that don't fly, but are pretty much invincible. Like it's big and it has. You can shoot and shoot and shoot at the suit, and it won't make a hole in the suit. They have armor like that, but it just can't fly because you need a power source. Well, you need certain things, and I used to claim I can make it. I read online, I read encyclopedias, I read books on different elements. I even remember asking Gary, my house dad there, if he can print out a element chart so I can study what particular elements are needed to either fission or fusion. I believe, if I remember right, the two elements that I came up with was plutonium and uranium-235. If you was to like fuse those together and consolidate in a very small container, but yet solid, use like, I don't know, plutonium solid and just bombard that plutonium with uranium-235, it'll make it glow just like the Iron Man suit and have that in like a glass shield or triangle, whatever you want to call it, and have, it can give power. See, I did so much research while I was at Pinehaven. Pinehaven, when I got kicked out of Pinehaven, November 29th, 2012. Second time I ran away. The first time was right after I turned 16 in 2011. Um, I ran away because I thought, again, I quote, I thought Pinehaven was doing me wrong. I told my house dad especially, Gary, I said, I want to go home. I'm ready. I need to go. I need to go. He said, no, Ryan, you're not ready. You're not ready. And then, you know, I want to go on summer. I couldn't leave the ranch on summer times. I couldn't leave the ranch on winter times. And my family only came up maybe three summers. I think I want to claim 3 summers, like 2 or 3 days for the summer. So almost 5 years and about less than 2 weeks I saw them total while I was there. And that's why I didn't run away. That's why I ran away again. And it was about the same. The reason why I ran away the second time was not because of the ranch. It was more because they would not let me go back home Christmas time because my sister was about to have her first kid. I wanted to be there for her. I wanted to be there for my sisters. Rebecca is her name, or the child's name now. She's 2. Rebecca Denise Tapia. Such a cute girl. Well, my sister has 2 girls now. Rebecca is her first, and Victoria is her second. Victoria Jo Renee Tapia, I believe, or Watson. I can't remember. 4 names. I'm only used to 3. Anyways, I went to Pinehaven in 2008 because I was acting up. I was acting up in school. I was acting up at home. I was setting things on fire. I was disrespectful. I had many counselors, both Christian and non-secular. I was on medication, Adderall, and I can't remember the other one. My family tried everything, spanking, taking things away. Just nothing would work. And part of that's my fault, yes. And part of it was because of my past. And part of it was because my parents did not know how to deal with such a troubled child that I was. So I went to Pinehaven Christian Children's Ranch in St. Ignatius, Montana, 2008, to help change my life. So I spent overall 5 years, almost 5 years there in St. Ignatius, about 40 miles from where my exact location is right now. Why did I go there? Why did I spend that long? I didn't want to spend that long. Hell no. I wanted to be like a normal kid because one of the other things that I realized I was getting older is I would see kids come there after I came there and leave before I did. But one of the things that I did not realize was that every kid, every individual, either court ordered there or non-court ordered there, had different situations. First, court ordered means you had to get in trouble somewhere and somehow that made you, that the court knew about Pinehaven, that made you either have the option of going to jail or going to Pinehaven. So the child, instead of going to jail, went to Pinehaven. Now, the other situation is people who did not go to court. Some kids are there because they have no other home. I'm not going to say who or what or where or when or why, but I know a few people that went there because their parents died in a car accident, and the grandma couldn't take care of them, so they went to Pinehaven. This was in Montana. I know people there that their parents got divorced, and the court decided to send the child to Pinehaven, so that way, because neither of the parents were in good condition to take care of the child. Or like me, I didn't go there court order. I had just had a simple problem. I was placed in the cream house because the only house dad on the ranch had hearing aids, and I had a hearing aid in my right ear. He had both in both his ears. Still does. He's an awesome house dad. I love him. I miss him. I wish I would see him, but I don't have a car. Not yet, at least. I would try to go up to the ranch. I love the ranch. I miss the ranch. I miss milking those cows by hand. I miss it. I don't know why. I'm good with animals, and I'm good with kids. Um, I would go up to the ranch, but Bob Larson, or also known, or AKA, is Robert C. Larson. Robert C. Larson is no longer in charge. His son, Jonathan Larson, is not John. Sorry, Fudge. His grandson, Danny Larson, or Daniel Larson. I can't remember. I call him Danny. Danny Larson is in charge. Now, Jonathan Larson, excuse me, he's the school principal there, and he is the minister at the church there in St. Ignatius. But Danny Larson is in charge. Now, I remember Danny Larson there when I was there, and Danny Larson and I never got along. I don't know why. I don't care to know why, but I wish whatever it was that made him, or still doesn't agree with me or doesn't believe me that I've changed. I wish, he would at least give me a chance to prove that I've changed. He will not allow me on the ranch. I've texted him, emailed Bob many times, and I've given them hints about the previous bills so that they would kind of get prepared. That way, it won't be such a drastic. Now, there was a Senate Bill 337 earlier this year that was a kind of a secret bill, and I didn't know that. I wasn't much familiar with House bills, Senate bills, and things like that. But now I'm on the watch. I know next year there are going to be some activity with the polling things. And also know that they're going to try to again pass another one in 2017. So I've been talking with Republicans in the state of legislation to prepare to make a bill that way to where they cannot pass another law on a religious organization. Almost all the people that are accusing or claiming these accusations happened a long time ago, and none of them are really that close as I am. A lot of them have left before me, and I left in 2012, so that should say a hint. I've seen the ranch grow, and since I've been in Montana, I moved back to Montana in August of 2014. It's past over a year now that I've been back in Montana. And I've seen the ranch grow positively, and I've seen it change in a better manner. The worst kind of punishment that you can have there is scooping poop. That's it. Scooping manure or poop. If you think about it, it's a ranch. So, you have to do dirty chores to, get in trouble. Now, I don't know all the details, but I know that, like, let's say, because you get grounded for let's say you got 2 F's and a D. That's 3 weeks grounded. Instead of 3 weeks grounded, because you only get phone call on Sundays, and every week that you're grounded, you cannot get a phone call from your family. So one of the things that's changed is that, let's say you're grounded for a month. Well, you only miss one Sunday, and that way you can still be able to talk to your family. I don't know all the details that's changed, but that's one of them that's changed. There's not many students there now. I wish there was, and I hope there be many more. The maximum is 100 students, and there's like, I don't know, less than 30 there now. And, that kind of bums me out, but, I believe God has a store for them. I'm helping them out, whether, Danny realizes it or not. Danny, is kind of, he doesn't really pay attention to the negative side of what people post on Facebook or Twitter or online accounts. There's a recent article that I found online because I have a Google alert that has anything that deals with Pinehaven pop up on my email. And there was a recent news article that came up about describing abuse and stuff at Pinehaven. And I went ahead and emailed, I think it was either yesterday or today, I emailed Bob that website. I don't know. I haven't checked my email since then. I don't use my personal or school account, Gmail accounts. I use a Microsoft account, Office 365. Yeah, it's a good one. Anyways, while I was Pinehaven, I did not see any kind of abuse. I told you earlier for the first 20 minutes what kind of abuse and things I went through. Did I see any of that at the ranch? No. I did see, kids running in wintertime, but it's also a good thing, because think about it. If the kid's going to be outside in the wintertime shoveling snow, wouldn't you rather have your kid warm and not cold? Because how they do it is you have trucks, okay? You got a flatbed truck behind, and it's open. There's never no cover over it. So snow, rain, gets on us. So instead of driving down 15, 20-mile wind, snowing and blizzard, would you rather have a kid walking/running? Well, yeah, a little slippery, but that's why you got good shoes, got gloves, hats, scarves, coats, all that to them. And they run to keep up their heat. And they scoop. When they scoop, their energy, heats them up. The body heat heats them up. So, and I've been in some situations there at the ranch that got me tackled by my own house dad and others. Whose fault was it? Mine. I started it. I gave him a bad look. I grabbed a chair and I was throwing rocks or something. And so let me ask you this, people, those who claim abuse at Pinehaven. First, what got you there to Pinehaven in the first place? So if you look at it, you came there to change one way or another. The majority of you come from Illinois to Indiana. Now, a formal officer was Charlie Duke. He came there, but then during the series of CNN videos in like 2011 and 2010/2012, those 3 years, Charlie Duke got like fired from his job in Illinois or Indiana. So he lives in one of those 2 states. I'm friends with him on Facebook. You can look him up, Charlie Duke. He will always speak good of Pinehaven. I think he is a godly Christian man. good, respected man. I met him in person before, so I know what I'm talking about. To those who claim abuse there, why did you go there in the first place? So think about it. Let's say I'm an adult, and when I have a kid, let's say he's troubled, I send him up to Pinehaven because I know about Pinehaven. I'm not going to send him up there just because he's troubled, but because it'll be a good learning experience for him. He'll gain respect. He'll gain possibilities, endless things. So, like I was in the cream house, my house, cream house, and still is today, this day, the mechanical on the ranch, mechanic house. So basically, we get to work at the mechanic shop, fix vehicles, tractors, everything. In the summertime, there's a lot of chores: hay, mowing, push mowing, hay, which cuts, rakes, bales, hundreds of acres, weed eating. We have a garden there. So let me ask you again. One of the news articles or CNN videos, Anderson Cooper was there. He asked Ned Kent, it was, if Ned Kent pressure pointed the kids. Now, let me ask you this. First, if you watch the video closely, Anderson Cooper cut Ned off because Ned was going to speak about something else. But Anderson either cut it off, like actually, or he spoke, but they edited the video to where it cut him off, so he wouldn't explain the rest. But let me explain this. Why was that kid in the first place getting that? Obviously, the kid was, or the child was doing something to deserve punishment. Let's say he was going to hurt himself or others around him. There was some pretty dangerous things there. There was knives that involved there. There was, in the hunting season, there was guns involved. Because yes, we're allowed to go hunting. Those who are good and those who are allowed to use guns and not banned by them by the court are and old enough are able to go hunting. I don't know if they still do that, but they did that when I was there. So there was knives, there were guns for those who can, knives for cutting hay, to cut the hay bales and stuff. There's a lot of things that could hurt another child. There was cattle prongs for the cattle there, so they had to, shock a cow to move or something like that, So there's that, or, there's a lot of dangerous things that were there. Someone else can hurt someone else just by using their bare hands. So if you think about it, whenever Ned in the past, he never did it to me, and I've never saw Ned Kent do that, and I was there for almost 5 years. If Ned pressure pointed them here, that must have been they were doing something with their hands, hurting something, doing something that was going to either hurt themselves or others around them. Think about public schools. People you guys claim about, wanting to shut down Pinehaven because of abuse. Ask yourself, where is abuse? Abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, biblical or religious abuse, what do we call it? Abuse. It's everywhere. Public schools, private schools, churches, everywhere. So let me ask you this. A lot of you don't live in Montana. So instead of you trying to affect one state, one place that has served over 500 students since its beginning, a lot of them have become positive students. I've become positive. I first started out negative, but God showed me the right path with my parents, Pinehaven, God, and look at where I'm at. I'm in college, going to get my IT degree, or bachelor's degree in IT. I told you earlier what I could work for in 4 years. So, if you're going to want to stop abuse, why don't you stop abuse in your public schools near you? You know, kids get abused there a lot. I was abused. And I lived in 4 states: Oklahoma, Montana, Colorado, and Missouri. And I could tell you, there was abuse there. I've been to many states. I went through many states. My uncle, I call my dad. So my dad, he was a truck driver at once, and I got to go with him. You know, and how many times I saw things that one either are inappropriate or two abusing one thing or another person. So people, if you're against Pinehaven, stop, think. Will you ever change Pinehaven? No, you won't. You will not. Do you know why I say that? Because even if you get Pinehaven shut down, there will always be abuse around the U.S. Your goal is not to mainly shut down Pinehaven, but to change or merely change Pinehaven to where abuse will stop happening, right? So your main goal is to stop the abuse. How about you try to stop the abuse in your own state? There's only a few of us that from Pinehaven that live here in Montana. I'm not going to say who it is or how do I know him or any of that, but he's a friend of mine that is for the ranch that was there when David Paul Krug and James Mason. James Mason and David Paul Krug were the two main founders of who were against the ranch, right? The person who I'm not going to mention was there with them. Now, this person told me, he said, you know, I remember James, I remember David, and things like that. And he said, you know, they weren't acting like this. Bob told me that when James graduated, he gave excellent graduation speech, talked highly of the ranch. But then after a couple of years, everything went downhill. And, you know, I have friends that are mutual friends with David and mutual friends with Craig that they don't know that they're for the ranch, but they're pretending to be against the ranch so that they can give me information so that I can give it to Bob. There you go. That's how we find out things. And you won't be able to because the friends that you least expect are the ones who they are. A lot of people claim that I have false accounts. I used to when I was against the ranch. I have about 5. I started out with 8, but now I only have 5 Facebooks. 3 of them have my official name on them. 2 of them don't. And the reason why the other 2 don't, I hardly get on them. But it's not because of anything about Pinehaven. It's for other reasons. You know, certain family blocked me on my 3 main accounts. And I don't stalk them, but more of I watch them to, you know, for their safety. So yeah, it sounds crazy, and I agree. But think about it. Police, they make false accounts just so they can catch bad guys. The NSA and the feds, they do the same thing just so they can catch illegal people doing illegal activities over Facebook or other sites. So how am I in the wrong if the feds or the police do it? I don't know. You tell me. Anyways, God's on my side. I love God. I love Jesus. You know, Jesus died on the cross for my sins. I'm against abortion. I'm against same-sex marriage. Do you know why? Well, let me say that I've probably had multiple near-death experiences. Multiple. When I was a baby, or not baby, when I was a kid, I remember this. I was sick for at least a week, like over 100-degree fever. You know, I've read the Bible many times, especially at the ranch. I don't do as much off the ranch, and that's bad. And yes, I still sin. I sin every day. And am I proud of it? No. I wish I didn't, but I'm not perfect. Romans 3:23. For all have fallen short. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Romans 3:23. Not one person's perfect. Not one. And one person has ever been perfect that's walked on this earth is Jesus. Some people recently said that, oh, how can you prove God? How can you prove Jesus is this? Jesus never said homosexuality is a sin. When you think about it, was Jesus if you believe that, do you believe in the Ten Commandments? Do you believe that God created this world? God created, animals and us and things like that? If you say yes to that, then you're bullshitting to yourself. And the reason why I say that is because, one, the entire Bible was inspired through by God through other people. So like Moses wrote down books, Job, Paul, David, Apostle John. I can keep going and going and going for all the people who wrote different books of the Bible. So in Leviticus, Romans, First Corinthians, when they say that homosexuality is a sin, then you better believe those are the words from God. A lot of people say, well, if it's not, it was the Holy Spirit talking, not God. Yes, it was God, because Genesis chapter 1, I believe, verse 26, it says, let us, the word, key phrase, us, make man in our image. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. If you look at that and you read that carefully, you refer and you realize that God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit were there from the very beginning. Now that's the word that the three in one. The word Trinity, the word Trinity is never in the Bible, nor the word rapture. They're not once in the Bible. Trinity, means three in one. Anyways, so God's time is not our time. He is not on the same schedule as us. He was, he is, and he will always be. So praise God. I'm against it. Then again, people say, don't judge lest you be judged. I agree to that and disagree to that part. If you read the Bible carefully, what Jesus never said don't judge, because if we were not to judge, we wouldn't be able to judge from right to wrong. We wouldn't be able to judge, oh, he stole something, he shouldn't go to jail then. Or yes, he lied, he should go to jail. Or he stole, he should go to jail. Okay, so that's judging from right to wrong. We judge every day. Should I wear this? Should I do this? Should I say this? Should I eat this? Etc., etc., etc. So we do judge every day. It's the matter of fact, do we judge righteously? Do we judge in the aspect of God's eyes or Jesus' ways? Jesus never said don't judge. He said don't judge for your own judgment, for your own self-righteousness, for your own glory. Judge the way God judges. Forgive how God forgive. Forget, but we're human. God's not. We're human, so we would never forget things that dramatically happen to our lives. But we can learn and use that drastic thing that happened to us or said to us, whatever happened, we can use it as a positive testimony for others. So if someone in your family was to die and he was not Christian, but you were or you weren't, maybe that kind of person read the Bible, and his last words were, "I hope you read the Bible and go to heaven." Those were his final words before that person died or passed away. Well, I know if that person goes to heaven. I don't know. I don't know if he was accepted in the book of life or not. But that was a testimony, his last words. Maybe you should respect his words and at least give it a try. I know some people that were very atheist-like people, or I even know satanic worshippers that once was Christian and then has never been Christian, and they all turned around back to Christ when some drastic thing happened, and then that drastic thing happened made that person, whoa, this is why this happened. I didn't know this was going to happen. Maybe, God can use negative things and turn it into positive. I post a lot of things on Facebook about the end times. If you read the Bible, if you read Revelation, the things that are happening now is happening. The government across the U.S. and across the countries are talking about one world power and one world currency already. That's in the Revelation. Talks about 3 years of peace. That's been talked about by, like, if I remember right, Hillary Clinton. And the Revelation, the Armageddon, Battle of Armageddon, that could be World War III. That could possibly happen. We had 5 Chinese boats up Alaska. 3 of them were warships. Man, we don't know if this U.S. is going to survive much longer. And that's why I post those things. It's not because to annoy or bug the heck out of people. It's more because I want you to be prepared for what could happen, even though it might not happen, but very possibly could happen. Anyways, it's almost been an hour. It's been 57 minutes. I'm going to quit. This is my first time kind of talking like this, so it's just past 11 o'clock here, 11 p.m. I'm going to close out this conversation and upload it on Facebook. So bye, Facebook. I'll post another one tomorrow. So see you guys.